The room was alive with laughter, chatter, and clinking glasses, yet I felt a storm brewing inside me. I had spent weeks rehearsing a casual joke, a comment I thought would amuse everyone at the dinner party. Something light, something harmless. "Maybe I need a new husband," I said, letting the words roll off my tongue with a laugh, hoping the room would share a chuckle. The moment left my lips, a ripple of silence followed. Not the polite pause of amusement, but a tangible, suffocating quiet that made my chest tighten. I turned slowly, expecting a playful grin or a teasing remark, but the man sitting across from me, the man I had called my husband, was not smiling. His eyes were ice, cold, merciless, and in that instant, I felt the walls of the room close in. "What did you just say?" His voice was low, controlled, cutting through the background noise like a blade. A few heads turned, their laughter dying instantly, curiosity and shock replacing merriment. My heart skipped a beat. I had expected mockery, maybe a playful tease, but not this measured, ruthless intensity. His eyes bored into me, not with confusion, not with hurt, but with something darker, something I wasn't prepared for, something that would unravel every comfort I had ever believed in. I was joking," I stammered, my voice betraying the unease curling in my stomach. My hands shook slightly, gripping my glass for stability. The room seemed to tilt, and the noise dimmed into a distorted echo. The guests were frozen, sensing the tension, sensing that the light-hearted joke I intended had struck a hidden, unspoken nerve. He stood up slowly, and the entire atmosphere shifted as though the air itself had turned heavy. "Joking," he repeated, each syllable a hammer strike against my chest. "Do you realize what that implies?" His gaze swept the room, a predator surveying its territory. I felt exposed, naked under the intensity of his stare. The casual confidence I had carried moments ago now evaporated. I realized then, in a chilling clarity, that this wasn't merely a joke gone wrong. It was a revelation I wasn't ready to face. I didn't mean it that way," I whispered, feeling heat rise to my cheeks. My voice sounded alien to me, small, fragile, but his silence was louder than any words he could have spoken. I could feel the judgment, the disappointment, and the unspoken truths hanging between us, suffocating, undeniable. The room was quiet now, every eye on us, every breath of the guests caught in the tension that thickened with every second. I wanted to laugh it off, to rescue the moment, to act like it was all harmless fun, but the warmth, the trust one once took for granted, had dissolved. I was standing at the edge of a cliff, and I hadn't realized I was falling. Then he spoke, and the words froze me, carved deep into my memory. "Do you think this marriage is a joke?" His voice was calm, deliberate, but it carried a weight that threatened to crush me. I could hear the undertone of betrayal, of years of unspoken resentment simmering beneath the surface. The room, once filled with light-hearted energy, had transformed into a courtroom, and I was suddenly on trial. The guests shifted uncomfortably, sensing the gravity of the moment, but I could not look away from him. Every laugh, every memory of our time together flashed before my eyes, and the realization hit me like a blow. I had no idea who I had married. Not really. Not the man who could look at me with such cold clarity, stripping away layers of comfort I had hidden behind. I was just trying to be funny," I said, my voice trembling. The words felt pathetic even as they left my mouth, small, futile, incapable of bridging the chasm that had opened between us. His expression did not soften. Instead, it hardened. And in that hardening, I saw a reflection of myself I had never anticipated. A woman exposed, vulnerable, utterly powerless in front of everyone she loved. "You think words like that are harmless," he said, his tone flat, controlled, yet laced with a cruel edge. "Do you think you can toy with our life, with my patience, my trust, without consequence?" Every word was deliberate, measured, precise. I felt like a tiny bird caught in a storm, powerless against the raging winds of his judgment. I tried to respond, to explain, to salvage the laughter, the evening, the dignity I thought I still possessed, but the words faltered, crumbling under the weight of his gaze. I felt naked, humiliated, exposed in ways I could not have imagined. The room was silent, every guest holding their breath, the tension electric, almost unbearable. And then the final blow. "If this is what you think of our marriage, maybe the joke isn't on me," he said, voice colder than ice, deliberate, leaving no room for misinterpretation. Maybe the joke is on you. The word struck me harder than any accusation, more piercing than any betrayal. In that moment, I realized that the man I thought I knew had disappeared behind a wall of cruelty and indifference I had never imagined possible. Tears pricked my eyes, though I refused to let them fall. Humiliation and heartbreak mingled in a bitter cocktail, a storm of emotions I couldn't name, couldn't control. The room spun around me, the faces of friends and family blurring into a haze of shocked silence. I wanted to vanish, to escape the suffocating exposure of my own life laid bare, but I had nowhere to hide. I forced a smile, brittle and fragile, trying to salvage some shred of dignity, but it felt hollow, meaningless. Every laugh, every word I had spoken, every memory I had built with him seemed to mock me now. I understood then that some truths, once revealed, could never be hidden again. The man I had called my husband had shown me, in the most brutal, unyielding way, the distance that had always existed beneath the surface, hidden by years of familiarity and habit. By the end of the evening, I was a shell of myself, standing alone amidst the crowd, surrounded by people yet utterly isolated. The joke had shattered not only the room but the fragile illusions I had clung to, leaving me raw, vulnerable, heartbroken. I realized, in that unbearable clarity, that the marriage I thought I understood, the man I thought I knew, had always been a stranger in disguise. And as I walked away from the gathering, the laughter, the whispers, the silent judgments pressing against me, I understood one thing with brutal certainty. Some words cannot be taken back, some truths cannot be ignored, and some heartbreaks are so profound that they change the course of your life forever. That night, what started as a harmless joke became a nightmare etched into my soul, a lesson in love, trust, and the cold, merciless reality that sometimes the people closest to you can hurt you the most.